Hello and welcome back to the We Should Talk More podcast. The podcast where two lifelong friends with not much in common try to get a little bit closer. This is our second time doing this intro because we messed up and I ended it early. But when we did it the first time, I forgot to say the tagline. So it's good that we did this again, don't you think?
Sure.
That was my intro.
Interesting. Okay, that's not much of an intro.
Mm-hmm.
You just did the intro for the podcast.
Mm-hmm. That's all I have to say.
Welcome to a podcast. Hi, my name is Josh, and I am the love professional in the room.
Okay.
See, it was a little different.
Okay.
We're set.
I'm wearing
I'm sorry.
What's up?
I just wanted to say real quick, make sure you don't zoom into my face because I'm growing this pimple right now. So keep that out of the podcast or out of the video.
Yeah, so Josh is cultivating mass on his face right now. Purposely. Guys,
it's a little frustrating. Go on.
You look okay.
It's worse than it was yesterday, and yesterday was bad.
Okay. I did notice you put a story where it was just like there, and then you zoomed into it. I'm like, oh, okay, at least he like knows. Cause you were talking for a bit. I'm like, I don't know if he knows. He has a huge pimple. And I was about to type out a message like, Josh, delete this. You got a pimple on your face, dude.
Oh, thanks. I'm so happy. I have a friend like you.
You're self-aware. Yeah.
Thank you.
Speaking of friends, today is a great episode. And we're continuing the dating saga.
Yeah, we're back to it.
And a little update is we did the high school episode where we both went, but as we were planning out this college dating episode, which is what this is, we realized that, well, one, our stories don't really fit into like a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year kind of thing, because a lot of them bleed in and like in and out between different years. And also, when we tried to like just break it up into like phase one, like into some sort of like cohesive, like this was the first thing, like something like that. Like we also realized that our stories were very different. Like what I think there was only one thing that we found that was similar. But other than that, like it's very different.
Which is the story of our lives?
Mm-hmm.
It's the story of our lives. You said day one, you put our lives side by side is completely different.
Yeah.
So turns out the best we can try is always going to turn out to fail. So we decided we'll just split this one up.
And I think for the better, because I guess we didn't realize, but a lot of this stuff in these next two episodes now, I guess, like I feel like it's a bit more significant. There's a little more relevant stuff to like right now, since it's like we only just got out of college. So like some of the stuff that happened then is still,
it's a lot more fresh,
and there's stuff to dig into a bit, because you know, like some random girl that I kissed in high school is not something I'm really thinking about now, but some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about, stuff that's still
carries over a lot. It still affects you today, and it's something that's not that old. It's easy to remember, and being that it's fresh off the memory, you can recall a lot more detail.
And I think too, like to do both of our stories justice, we thought like it'd be better for us to split it up, because that way I can ask you questions, or you can like ask me questions about certain things, instead of like just me sharing like, oh, there was this one thing, and then over to you to share your thing, because that's not really a conversation.
Yeah, it's not a great narrative.
What's that?
I almost dropped your SpongeBob painting. Sorry about that.
Okay.
But yeah, it wouldn't be a great narrative. It would not flow.
Yeah.
And we want this to flow for our listeners.
Yeah, and it's a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about look at me, look at the things I did. It's about look at we.
You looking at me? You're looking at me when you said that.
But before we start, we are drinking coffee. It's a staple of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Duncan has this new Starburst coffee. Do you remember what it's called?
Yeah, Sunset or Sun. No, actually, it's not Sunset. Sun something.
Yeah, Sun something. It's $2 for like a medium iced coffee.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're drinking. We're just drinking regular iced coffee.
Are we?
Yeah, the guy said he was out.
Oh, wow, wonderful.
So I just wanted to set that up.
Oh, so I mean, did he still charge you $2 or he?
No,
standard price.
Standard price.
That's kind of shitty of him.
Yeah, it kind of sucked.
That's not your fault that you came to Dunkin' Donuts to buy a $2 coffee and they didn't have the $2 coffee.
But that's life. And as we dive into some of these topics, you'll learn that sometimes life is like a Dunkin' that won't give you $2 iced coffee. That being said, both of us have stories planned. And coming in today, neither of us knew who was gonna go. And we were talking about it just now as I was, I came in the tux. I was just freshening up. But you came up with the suggestion of flipping a coin, which I think is just perfect.
I think you said it, but I did ask, and I think it prompted that response. So you have a coin?
I thought you did.
You thought I did.
You suggested it. I swear.
I have a deck of cards.
I swear you suggested.
You have a deck of cards.
We could just do a quick cut, and I can run to get a
No,
coin.
just use that like remote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just use that remote.
All right. Oh no, you know what I have, guys? This is super exciting. I have buttons.
Oh yeah, buttons.
And they work like coins. All right. So we got a penguin button. You guys can't see it, but I'll maybe zoom in. It's a penguin button from Sam, friend of the show.
Yep.
And I'll talk about her later.
Oh, you will? I forgot about that.
Just a tease. Penguin is you.
Penguin's me.
Non-penguin is me.
All right, so you get the bar inside. All right, let's try to do this. Wait, let's do that again. Because this is not... Let me not catch it, because when I catch it, I can actually feel what's inside. And just then, I can drop it however I want to.
Just slip it to the ground.
Because I felt that was going to be me. That shit hit my face.
Okay, I see the non...
All right, we got John today.
Oh, jeez. Perfect. All right, John. So, is there anything else you want to talk about before we get into this?
This coffee's not that great.
Yeah.
I don't know what they did with it, but it's not that great. Yeah. Oh, and just to be clear, this coffee was on John today. Mm-hmm. Give him a round of applause. He doesn't do that often.
Wait a minute. Yeah, it's true.
Wait, don't you have the button? I thought you had a applaud button.
I do.
That's not it. There we go.
Round
of
applause.
What I was talking about.
Round of applause for the coffee. I should use these guys more. Exactly. It's just I get so involved in the conversation that it's hard for me to think about using them. But I think I will now.
Oh, that's setting the mood. Let's go. All right, so since today's your episode, I'll go ahead and start. Time to dig into your fucking college dating life.
All right.
I'm excited for this. I'm excited to know a little bit more about how pathetic you were back in college.
That's so rude. But true.
Yeah, I've read the show notes.
You read the show, yeah. So in the show, I'm trying to open the show notes. We did give we broke our stuff into steps.
We broke it into 4 phases.
But we gave them different names because they were different.
Yeah, exactly. So your first phase is called...
My first phase is called Lonely Boy. It's just what I named it. Why did I name it that? Well, coming into college, it was similar to high school, where there's the sense of excitement with so many people around. But now it's that times 10. I mean, you probably experience the same thing, just with now it's so many more people that you can meet, which was exciting. And there were a lot of situations that I was put in that were out of my comfort zone, but not in a bad way. I was responding well. We had a thing at school where it was called Pirate Weekend, where we could stay on campus, and we stayed in the dorms over the summer. It was I think it was 2 days. And you got a fake roommate and stuff. It was actually pretty cool. And the people that you were in your group, everyone became very close. So I became friends with my fake roommate for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I guess the thing that I want to touch on that is that was all very exciting. And there's all these all these events going on before you, orientation events going on. And I went to Seton Hall, so it was a very small school. So it was easy to know people or know of people, and you would see people often. It wouldn't be you would meet someone and then never see them again. But I do remember having a feeling once that ended, once that fun week ended, then it got kind of weird for me, at least, because now you have all these people who are dorming. So like stuff that we've spoken about before, like a lot of your memories are like your friendships are made by those who are like around. So like you become close with those who just, it's like you're around.
Yeah, you have no other option to be friends with them.
Yeah, and like I'm commuting. So like I'm not going out to parties for the first time with people. I'm not like, you know, a lot of these people, they're like drinking or whatever, like having all these experiences, and I'm not like doing any of that because I'm just commuting, and I'm also not really like drinking or into partying really at this time.
How do you think that first week experience compared to freshman Esopus from high school?
I didn't go to freshman Esopus in high school.
You didn't?
Yeah.
Neither did I. So I was hoping that you had
there's like a
in
parallel.
here.
Yeah, no. But I would imagine it's like similar because I do remember in high school, it was like the same thing where like all these people came back from that thing, and somehow now there's all these like friendships that like you missed out on.
Exactly.
And that's how it kind of felt the weeks after that I wasn't around, where like I'm seeing these groups form. It's like I'm not there for like the events or like the memories that are like bringing them together. So that definitely like it kind of sucked. And like I was like social to when I was like in those situations because I'm already around people, but like if I'm not like experiencing these things with them, I'm not social enough to like enter into a friend group that's already established. Like if one's forming around me, I'm there for it, but I wasn't gonna like try to enter into something else.
Yeah, I mean, and given that you're only just going in and out of college or school, it's not that easy.
Yeah, and I think like something I regret too is all throughout college, like my mentality was like go to class and go home. Like I did not really care much for like staying after school, like staying after classes, like going to clubs or anything like that.
What do you think influenced that?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think like a part of it was like not really being too afraid to do things alone. Like if I had a friend, someone that I was already comfortable with, I would go, like, and later on in school, I went to some things like with people that I knew, but it would be very hard for me to like show up to like some random club like on my own. Like,
That's true. Yeah, that's definitely like a huge barrier to be able to get over if you want to do something independently and enter into new groups when you don't really have a group yet. So I mean, that's definitely a struggle that like I've resonate with a lot.
And it was hard to like to just touch a bit more on like the circumstances. Like my only group of friends like at this point were like you, Alex, and Anthony, and all of us went to different schools.
We did. And
like the connection that we had of like being around each other all the time was just like done, because like we all are in schools now. We all have like our own classes, like not together. Like the dynamic of a friend group like high school to college kind of changes, because it's like you're not similar to what we discussed in the high school stuff. Like you're not seeing each other every day. So like it gets a little different.
But we were actively talking.
We were, like, like we did like have like group chats and stuff.
Thousands of messages every fucking day.
Yeah. that you couldn't keep up with.
That used to frustrate me so much just because I had like OCD about reading every single message.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Now at this point in my life, I just don't give a fuck.
Well, luckily now I think that we don't like. I guess back then, I don't know why we were just talking so much like in a group chat. I feel like now it's like a little less like, unless like some conversation picks up that people get like swept away in. But yeah, it was weird. It was a weird first year. I had a small group of people that I knew that I met, and I mentioned this in the high school thing, that there was like this app that we used where you would get into a chat room with everyone like that's going to a school. So there was like a Seton Hall chat room and all these people were in there. So there were people that I met from that. And like, it's also not to say like I went to college with Alex Aranio, and I went to college with like some other people from our high school. But like at that point, I wasn't really close to I wasn't close enough to Alex to like to hang out with him in the way that I would hang out with you guys. And like we were also doing different classes, and like we weren't like as connected as we are now. So yeah, at this time, I became very close with this one girl that was in that group. I see you smirking. And
what do we want to call her?
What do we want to call her? I'm struggling here.
Habanero.
Habanero. Yeah, you're
looking at the hot sauce. Yeah, so
little habanero. She was one of my like best friends. Like okay. At that time, it was just a weird feeling of like not having like or just feeling not as connected with my old friends anymore. That she was one of my like best friends at that time. And she had a boyfriend.
And so what are you thinking here? What are you thinking? Do you think that there's a chance, or are you here just to ride the wave?
Well, I guess like at the start, it was never anything that I was like actively trying to like pursue her. Like we were friends first. Something that I think about often is like, I feel like especially at that point in my life, like it was hard for me to get like, you know, like it's hard for a lot of guys, I think, to get close to like a female without developing feelings, because it's like a lot of guys can't tell the difference between like friendship or like a romantic interest. Like if a girl is being nice to you, it doesn't mean that she like likes you. It doesn't mean that she
definitely
likes
go the same way. I mean, same thing the other way around.
Yeah.
But given that you knew she was in a relationship, that dynamic might be a little different.
Yeah. And like I guess like I wasn't I had no intention of like developing feelings for her at that time. But I guess it just happened.
Yeah.
And it was like a complicated situation, I think, for both of us. The thing we were talking about before this is like, and we spoke about it before, where like I feel like a lot of my mentality around that time is like really liking The Office. So like relationships like Jim and Pam, seeing that and like living vicariously through like those imaginary like relationships.
So I know it's very unlikely, but for any losers out there who haven't watched The Office, give a little context here.
Yeah, so The Office was like a mockumentary sitcom that was around in like the early 2000s, or started in the early 2000s. And there's a relationships that is like the core to the show, and it's Jim and Pam, and it lasts like throughout the whole show. Like these are like, it's like the relationship that people often like come back to watch the show for. And it started out as like a guy at work who had a crush on a girl at work. And she had a fiance actually, but the fiance was kind of like an asshole. And like the way the show plays out is like they really want you to not want her to get married with that guy, and they want you to want her to end up with Jim. And that's the way it's framed. And it's framed very much so that it's almost, the show isn't about Jim, but like the relationship is through his perspective, where it's like he's like this hopeless romantic interested in this girl, which I think is like, even for me at that point, like is something that you end up putting yourself into those shoes of like feeling like, oh, I'm just like a hopeless romantic being interested in this girl. I'm not being bad. It's like, I'm like, she might be the one, like she might be in a relationship that's not meant to be. Like you view yourself in the same way that like fictional characters are portrayed, where it's like, you know, this is a like star-crossed lovers like kind of thing.
You don't see anything wrong with your behavior at the time, just because you're seeing yourself in the shoes of Jim.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That was a beautiful summary, by the way.
Thank you.
Great job.
On the spot too. I didn't really you caught me off guard with that.
Exactly. And you went straight into it. You didn't stop. You didn't hesitate at all. So great job there. Just wanted to give you a little credit right there.
Thank
you. So John is Jim for Lil Habanero.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about this hopeless romantic side of you that is trying to get with this girl who is in a relationship.
Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of things that, I mean, obviously, like, I don't want to get into everything, but there were a lot of, the situation was difficult because I think at the time she was very conflicted. It was definitely more led by me being like more interested, but like she eventually maybe like there were feelings there, which I won't say anything more, but yeah, like there were feelings there. It's just it was very complicated for her. Like looking back on it, let's say from my perspective, or not from my perspective, like trying to look at it through her perspective, I couldn't imagine how difficult that must have been. Because I think it's very easy if you're the guy to be like, either why doesn't she like me? Like you could be upset about that. You could also be upset of like, why does she show me interest and like tell me things that would make you think that she's interested, and then go back to her boyfriend? Like, why would she do that? Which is a lot of stuff that I was thinking at the time, like being like angry or like being upset at myself. Like why, like what was wrong with me? Like what why wasn't I good enough? Which is like, I feel like at this time I was very much so like down on myself, like because of those things. So it became easy to become upset at her, but it's complicated. Even for the guy that she was with, I have some stories about him. He instantly didn't like me, rightfully so, because like I'm just some guy that became very close to his girlfriend. Like I was texting her probably as often as he was, like Snapchatting her, like definitely crossing the line more than I would ever do ever again. Like I would never do that again. Like having gone through that, like now knowing like.
But you're doing this at this time thinking that there's a possibility of making something into love.
And it's also like it's that, and it's also like we were also friends. Like like there was a part of it too where like we had a genuine connection. We were friends, and like I guess once those friendships gets to that level of closeness where you're like talking all the time, it's hard to stop doing that. It's like even when we had tried like, oh, maybe we shouldn't talk like as often, it's hard to like.
It just came right back.
Yeah.
You start missing each other.
Yeah.
So there was definitely emotions here.
Yeah. And yeah,
what would you? I'm cutting you off. Yeah, I'm sorry. But what would you say to yourself now, as like advice to not like beat yourself up over like?
I don't know. Like if I could go back, like I would like not let myself go through that situation at all. Which is hard to say because it's tough because there's a lot of things that I think you learn through like mistakes. So like, I don't know. I honestly don't know what I would say. I feel like it's hard to even think about like what I would say. I would say maybe just to maybe not like kick yourself, maybe give the context of how complicated the situation was. Like let myself know that. So like I wouldn't be so detrimental to myself. Like I could maybe things would still play out the same, but not so down on myself, like blaming myself for certain things.
Do you think if you found yourself in that position again, just somehow, because you made a few mistakes down a certain path, that you'd be able to accept it more easily, given what you know now?
If I found myself in which side?
On the side that you're chasing after a girl with a boyfriend. And you see that she's not really giving you the attention that you
I think I would more easily talk myself out of it now. Just having gone through that. If I see that if I somehow ended up in a situation like that, which I think like we'll get into it, but like I have actively avoided anything close to that. But if it did happen, yeah, like I wouldn't see it happening for a long time. I think I would definitely like try to separate from that. If I didn't know that like something would come out from it, like with like more certainty instead of like a hopeless like romantic mentality. So yeah, I didn't expect to talk about this so much. I feel like that whole story, there's a lot to dig in there. I did want to just touch on some like funny anecdotes because there are some like just funny stories that I often tell people, and even told her, that like if I was to make a movie one day, like these scenes are like things that are going to go into the movie. So I guess one of them is
you heard it here first.
You heard it here first. It'll be in a movie. One of them is like, so I gave the context like her boyfriend like didn't like me. He really didn't like me. And I didn't like him. But
this is why you're talking to her.
Yeah.
You are looking to be the savior.
Yeah.
That's the role that you're trying to play.
At the time, that's like the mentality that you give yourself. That's like the gym. Like the gym is viewed as like, you know, the white knight, like saving the princess or whatever. But yeah, so he didn't like me. She dormed, so like she had a roommate at school, who we were also close with. There was a day that I think we had a break between classes, and like we would always hang out on that break. So like it was known that like I think we like our class ended and we had the next class together, so we would hang out in between that break. And people knew that we would hang out. Like we would sometimes invite people with us. Like her roommate knew that we would be together at that time. That's like important context. And then out of nowhere, her roommate invites us over to come back to the dorm to hang out. And it's a little like out of nowhere. Like her roommate would like sleep through a lot of classes. I think like she wouldn't go to some classes from what I heard. Or like she also just she wouldn't hang out with us as often as like we would just hang out us two. But we were down. We went back to the dorm to like meet up with her. And we like sign in, whatever. We go up to the room. We walk in. It's dark. It's if there's already there's already a susness.
That's not the right one.
Man, I don't have. It's dark.
Okay, that works. That works.
I need to add more spooky sound effects here, maybe. It was dark. And the door closes and I turn around and her boyfriend's right there and I'm like trapped in the room. Her boyfriend's right there with like teddy bear and like flowers and like all this stuff. And we were like set up. It was like straight up a setup. It was insane.
Oh man.
And I told you this when I first told you the story, but I like did not know what to do. It's like a movie. It's like
I wouldn't be able to figure that out either.
And like obviously like I'm still more of like the bad guy because like I'm the guy I'm hanging out with his girlfriend, whatever.
You just walked into her dorm.
Yeah, so,
lights off and everything.
Yeah, like her roommate was with us too, which made it even more weird. And they like hug and they kiss. I think he hadn't seen her for a while. Or I don't really remember, but I'm just there with her roommate. I'm just like, all right, I guess I'll leave. Like I just walked out. Like I didn't say bye to anybody because it was just so awkward. And definitely like a pussy move from me because like yeah, like it was a big deal. It was like weird, but it's like I could have just said hi and then left, but like I was like freaking out. You know me, like I'm not like looking for conflict or whatever, so like I was out of there. And I had a panic attack, like an actual panic attack. I remember like walking to the parking deck, like not being able to breathe, and then going to my car and like having to calm down. But yeah, like that was traumatic. It was just I don't know, I guess especially just how it was just like sprung up on us. It was such an odd situation. And other things like that had happened. Like I'm not gonna go into everything, but like there was definitely like a contention between us where like there were things that he would do purposely to like get at me, or like even probably things that I did purposely like to get at him. Not as like convoluted and like super villain level though.
Yeah, no, you're the White Knight.
I'm the White Knight, guys. Remember, I'm a good guy.
You are. John is the savior here. He's trying to save these women from the street.
And then the other story. So this is already a couple years after like my interaction with her. Like we were still
a couple years after that story you just told.
Well, a couple years. Well, I guess like maybe this could have been like tail end of like sophomore year. Like this was like a little bit after this, like when I first met her basically. So like whatever situation had kind of like died down. Like I wasn't really as close with her anymore, and I wasn't like actively pursuing her, but we were still friends. And there was a situation where my parents were looking to buy a dog. It's completely by chance that any of this happens. They were looking to buy a dog. And my dad finds it on Facebook. Like some lady, their dog had a litter of puppies, and they were looking to buy a dog for my brother-in-law's family. So we go to the person's house to pick up the dog and like see. And my dad is like, he's known throughout all of our families that he's like a good negotiator. So he usually goes himself to like negotiate, and like he'll buy it himself, and then like you can pay him or whatever kind of thing. So we're going to the town that this guy lives. Okay. Which I know that he lives there, but it didn't cross my mind at all because I'm like, we're just gonna go pick up a dog. I literally did not think about it at all. But as we're like turning the street and we're stopping at a house, the car parked in the driveway is a car that is very familiar to me, and it's a car that's hard to miss. Like there's not many. You don't see many cars. It's like a sports car kind of. No, it's a muscle car actually, but it's like it's one that is not like you don't see it all the time. And also the fact that that's his town and it's his car, and I was in it. It was in the car before. Like he once drove me home from a party. I'm thinking like,
why would he drive you home?
I don't remember. There was just a situation where I think he picked me up with his girlfriend, and which is like even another story.
That's very sweet of him.
I'm sorry, guy. Like you have to do that. That you must have hated having to do that. But maybe more stand up of him to do that. Maybe he could have said no, but anyways, I see the car.
Yeah, exactly.
I see the car. It's his car. We're in his town, and I'm kind of panicking, but I'm like, it could be chance, right? Like, it's a big town. It's a wealthier town than where we're used to. So this type of car, someone else could have bought in it. Like, I'm trying to like talk. I'm thinking this as I'm going in. We walk inside. I don't know what his family looks like previously. So just like his parents and a sister is there. So like, I don't recognize, it's a younger girl. So I'm like, okay, this isn't that. Maybe this is just like the dad's car, like whatever. So my dad's like, they're talking where they're like petting the dogs, whatever. And we're there for a while because my dad likes to talk. So he's talking about our dogs. Like, our dogs had puppies like a couple years before that. So I'm just walking around. And I notice there's there's a couple things.
Okay.
I noticed a blanket first.
A blanket.
On the couch with his face on it. Like, shit you not.
This is like some Sam thing.
Well, this is like from a movie.
Yeah, well, you know how Sam has a blanket, or Jonathan has a blanket of Jonathan and Sam?
Yeah. But yeah, it's like straight up like out of a movie. I see that. I'm like,
wow.
What's going on? Like, I'm in panic mode. I'm like, this is incredible. How did I? Oh Jesus! How did I end up here? It was incredible. And something I'll definitely I'll have to put in a movie one day. But yeah, there were a lot of like weird situations like that.
All of these are like just like so threatening situations, it feels like.
Yeah, and situations where I'm like very uncomfortable. Like there was a thought that this guy would beat me up. Like I would think that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll kind of end it there. Just to summarize that whole situation, like it was complicated. Like, I just want to get that across. Like it's, and I told you this before, but it's not black or white. Like, it's like there was definitely a lot of gray area for everybody involved. Like, it's, looking back on it, it's hard to really say like, oh, it was this person's fault. Like, I acknowledge it was like complicated, and I acknowledge like a lot of the bad things I did.
But saying that, given that,
it
had a huge impact on the rest of your dating life going forward.
Yes, that's like the thing. So I guess context too, like all of these like phases or whatever, like these people I'm gonna talk about, like I've only chose the people that I feel like it's like a significant like description of like what's going on, or like something that marks a change. So this was definitely like a big change. Like this interaction with her, like that ending, like how it affected me after was like significant.
Yeah, realize guys, John is a gigolo. He has had women lined up for him.
I've had at least more than 3 kisses. So.
He has had at least more than 3 kisses. I thought it was just last week that he had his 3rd kiss.
Yeah, like I told Josh that I kissed a girl, and he's like, "Oh wow, your 3rd kiss." I even said that in the way that you would say it.
You did. That was perfect. That was perfect.
Yeah, but so that situation happened. Coming out of that, the next phase that I put is the sad boy era. And these are now named after playlists that I made. So I make playlists, like themes for every year. All of my playlists for like that year that I'm going to be talking about, they were called like Sad Boy Volume 1, Volume 2. Like the whole year was like a sad boy year. Do you
have these public?
Yeah, they are public. So you can listen to the music that I was listening to at that very point in time.
Put it in the show notes.
I'll link my Spotify.
Please do.
But yeah, I think coming out of this period, I think something to note too is like, while I was interested in this girl, Habanero, there were other girls that I was talking to. Like, I did just get on like Tinder around this time. I wasn't using it as much as I use it now. But I was on it, and like I'm getting no success, like whatever. But like there were people that I spoke to, like girls that maybe I DM'd, but like nothing that I would say is like as noteworthy as the story that I told. And also like something for context, like any interaction I had, I would never take it seriously because I was always interested in this habanero. So it was hard for me to really like somebody or like invest time, because I'm like, really, I it's like Jim when he's talking to the girl from the other office he gets moved to, and as soon as he goes back to the office with Pam, he's like, all right, see you later, other girl. But yeah, now I gotta look for what I want to talk about. I guess something significant during this time is when I started AlzateFilms, it doesn't really have much to do with dating, but I will say like just as my outlook towards how I presented myself to people kind of changed, because like I feel like I was in a period where like I stopped caring about what people online perceived me as, because like I was making weird videos, but I was also like posting them publicly on my accounts where like anybody could see, which is something I probably wouldn't have done like before. So like I was at a point where I like maybe like subconsciously thought like, oh, like I'm not gonna get a girlfriend, or like a girl's not gonna like me anyways, so let me just be like who I am, and like maybe they'll like me, maybe they won't, like it's just not a big concern to me right now. And that was very much my mentality like for a little while.
Just be authentic as possible.
Yeah, and just kind of
who you are, and present that online as well.
Yeah, and just also just not being too concerned at all with like entering into a relationship. Like I really, to be honest, like it wasn't really anything that I was too like concerned about or interested in.
But to be honest, you just felt like you didn't have any value to play in the market.
Yeah. That too. There was definitely an aspect to it that was more down on myself, which is not great. But
we all have that subconscious thought.
Yeah. So I guess the person that I wanted to talk about was our friend Sam.
Shout out Sam.
So Sam and I did not date. We went on a single date.
Did you ask her permission
to talk about this? No, but maybe I'll ask her. I'll tell a second story after this. If she doesn't want me to include this, then I'll cut it out.
Perfect.
But Sam really liked me when we first met. I think maybe, did she know of me? I guess she knew of me before even meeting. Maybe
you might get Jonathan jealous with this story.
You think so?
I think so.
Okay.
Jonathan's my brother. He's currently dating Sam, just as additional context. He is a very jealous guy.
Really?
No, not really.
Oh my god.
You're like picturing like, another
PTSD. No,
it's coming back. I thought I ran away from this.
Yeah, I never got that vibe from Jonathan. So Sam, I think she knew of me from the videos that we were doing. She was also a YouTuber, so that's kind of where like the connection was made. And I remember like it was the start of this feeling, which I kind of touched on in the high school stuff, where like when someone is like initially interested in me, it's hard for me to like them back for some reason, especially at this time. I feel like right now I'm maybe a little like healthier
about that
mentally, but like just being so down on yourself, when you see someone interested in you, you instantly start like questioning why, like what about me is so special? Like, why are you interested in me? You don't know me. And this is like a theme that kind of goes into like a couple of the relationships like from here, but I do remember like we went on a date. If we only went on one date, and I don't remember like how it even was organized. Like maybe, I guess I asked her, but it's like I don't really remember the circumstances. She probably remembers more than I do.
Is this the one that she came back and was talking to me about how you wouldn't stop talking about yourself?
Yeah, and like I don't remember any of that, and just for like, I'm sorry. Like I'm not normally like that. Like I don't know. I think
fair warning, guys. Go on a date with John. You're not gonna get a word in.
I've definitely had good dates before. No, I definitely had good dates after that. But you know what I will say?
You've never had a good date before that.
Yeah, I will say like I don't know, like I guess I like this. I remember the stuff that she mentioned that I was talking to her about. It was like all this stuff about like what I was doing in school, what I wanted to pursue,
your internship,
and like looking back and like I was talking about stuff that I wasn't even really passionate about. Like my passion like at that time was like film. Or like not film, but like YouTube.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of this stuff, even outside of like my date with her, like stuff I would communicate to other people, it was very much like a show, like putting on this like facade. So I'm not sure like if this was a case during our date. Like I don't know if maybe I was nervous and I was just trying to like, I just couldn't stop talking. But besides that,
you
like
were trying to give her a reason to actually like you, because you thought, there's no reason why you would like me. So here is
here's everything about me.
Yeah, here's the good presentation of who I am.
Yeah, I don't know, but I will say like at least like hearing those complaints from her, like now on dates, I probably don't talk enough, which is like
now it's having the backwards.
Yeah,
effect.
now it's the backwards effect. But I mean, I guess stuff like that's important because like I really at that point too, like hadn't gone on many like dates like that. Like it would be my whole thing was like pursuing people that I was interested in for a long span of time. That was like very much like one of the first dates. Not the first date. I won't give Sam that, but it was very much one of the first dates where it's like, I don't know you, we're hanging out. Like, I don't know you that well, we're just hanging out, and seeing where things go.
Yeah.
I will just to touch upon like why I'm using Sam as an example here is, I feel like a lot of the stuff that I was dealing with, like, is shown through my interaction with her. Like, it's a good example. Because one thing was like she had recently got out of a relationship at this point, and I communicated this with you back then that like it was something that I was like a little hesitant about.
And I don't think I understood the extent of it.
Yeah, I guess it's interesting because a lot of the habanero stuff, I accidentally doxed this person. A lot of the habanero stuff, I didn't really communicate with you or really much anyone else. So there was stuff that I was like.
Did you ever share this story? Those like 2 stories you gave about habanero.
Maybe with like other people, but
during that time though.
During that time, definitely not. And I think like out of just like a bit of shame of just the situation that I had put myself in. Because I think whenever I would tell people about that, is like they would instantly be like, what are you doing? Like what are you doing? Like even some of our close friends. Were one of our friends that went to school with me. He was like a little upset because he was in a long-term relationship and he was like upset with my actions. And like back then I didn't understand it. Definitely understand it now. Like why he was like a little annoyed by like the things that I was doing. Yeah. Because was not being a stand-up guy.
Look, you're just trying to be the best that you could be, saving
at the time
these women
saving
from
these
their
people.
Awful relationships.
Yeah, but back to Sam. She's a good example because that was one thing. I was like very much hesitant because I didn't really I didn't want to get involved in another situation like that. And like that goes forward where like I really try not to I guess like PTSD, like not wanting to be involved in that kind of thing again. And then the other thing was the thing that I spoke about before, where it was like she was a good example of someone where like I didn't initially like them. So it was hard for me to understand why they liked me, which is like a really bad mentality that I had around that time, like being down on myself, and also just like it was like a selfish thing too, where it's like if I liked you, then I'll be interested in you, but if you like me, I won't be open to like being interested in you. Like I don't know why I was like wired that way. I feel like now, like if there was someone that let's say you set me up on a date or whatever, I wouldn't be like, oh no, I'm not interested in her, I don't know her. Like of course if I'm single, I'll if she's pretty and seems interesting, like I'll go on a date with her. Like it's not as big of a deal maybe as I probably made it then.
I mean, it sounds like these early years you were just very uptight about things, I guess.
Yeah.
Where, well, one, you didn't want to really do much outside of school and like focus on just yourself. Like that first year where you're using the excuse of you being focused and have your priorities in place, that you're not going out partying, and then which is an environment where you might just meet somebody and hook up.
Yeah.
So I think it relates and there.
I think like there's definitely just on that too, like there was definitely like a lot of shyness like to all that too, like not wanting to do any of that, like so it's like a mix of being selfish and being
comfort zone at that
shy
time.
And but yeah, like Sam was a good example of that. And going into the next phase, because there isn't really much else to say about like this one other than like that this example with Sam is kind of representative of any interaction I had around this time. So there were some girls that maybe I went on a couple dates with, but they were like there's one girl that was very interested in me and I was very put off by it. And then months later, looking back on it, I was like, man, I could have been dating her if I just like was open to her. Yeah.
So no ladies who were interested in John.
Yeah, there's a lot of ladies.
These ladies. He's on the market. He's single.
I am on the market.
If you're still very interested in him, He has put the sad boy side of himself to the side.
What's great is like most of the examples of these girls, they ended up with boyfriends by this point, or engaged. There's one of them that's engaged, and they're much better and cooler than me. So you guys lucked out.
Consider breaking up with your boyfriend or a husband.
Husband.
John is now available.
Yes. All right. Well, I'll go into the next phase here. The year of love. The year of love.
What made it the year of love?
I remember specifically this year, like the start of that year, I had said, and this is the start of 2018 for context. The start of that year, I was like, this is the year of love. Like on New Year's Day, I was like drinking with my family, and I was telling my sister, like, this is like the year of love for me. And like, I think they even toasted to me saying like the year of love. Like it was like a thing that I was saying.
Beautiful.
But it was a mentality that I really wanted to bring. That
2018?
2018.
Beautiful.
And I find it funny because the year was quite the opposite. To touch upon the most important thing was there was a girl that I met on Tinder this year. We had spoken for a little while. And I think we had even matched like before the start of that year. Like it was just
Let's
something.
Call her Lo Habanero.
Let's call her Squidward.
No, we got to keep the theme.
Well, we use habanero for the other one.
Jalapeno. My bad. What did I say?
You said habanero. I'm gonna go with Squidward.
How about Carolina Pepper?
All right, I'll go with Carolina. Actually, no. Carolina has to be the last girl, and I'll tell you why after. So we'll go with Squidward.
Jalapeno.
Fine, jalapeno.
Keep the theme.
God damn it. Fine. So jalapeno. I think
that's cute.
It is kind of cute. Oh, with the pepper. Yeah. You're right. We didn't give one to Sam.
We gave her name.
Oh fuck. All right. So back on track. Jalapeno. We matched probably a couple months or like a month before the start of that year, but we were talking just on Tinder, like whatever. But we ended up actually like going on dates after the start of the new year, actually like hanging out.
You tell her that this is your year of love?
No.
Oh.
I have a funny story where we're at a movie theater, and I'm just so nervous. Like, I guess my dating is like very sporadic. So it's like there would be times where I'm going on dates and like months of nothing, then I would go on a date. So like I'm not very like honed in. So like we're at the movie theater and I'm going to like put my arm around her and I smack her in the face.
Yeah, you never told me this.
Yeah, I don't know. It was on my like, I put that on my Hinge like as like the most embarrassing thing on a date. To this day, that's the most embarrassing. Oh, there's actually another one which I'll talk when we talk about dating now. Another embarrassing thing, but that was just iconically bad. So yeah, that happened. Now I'm afraid to say the rest because I hear my parents coming. But
John lost his virginity.
I did lose my virginity to this jalapeno, and that was a very interesting time.
How did it impact your life?
It was strange. I feel like the moments like around it, we were going on like dates and stuff, and I was not very like open. Like I was going through the motions, and for context, like I did like her, but not like, for some reason, just not able to open myself up for anything more than just like hanging out and stuff like that. But yeah, once it happened, it was like very like nice moments, similar to like getting the first kiss. But I remember being like conflicted of like how I felt about her. If it was just because was it genuinely because I liked her, or did right after that moment did I feel a type of way just because we did that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, at this point, you didn't go back to your college basketball boys telling them that you lost your virginity.
No. Yeah, this wasn't a thing that I like. I was like screaming from the mountaintops. I think I definitely told. No, actually, it was a little while until I told you, I think.
Yeah, it was a long while. I don't think I heard until like 8 months later.
Yeah, which is I never really thought too much about that. Why I wasn't so open about it. I guess because too like it wasn't a relationship. Like we were just hanging out and like
casual.
talking. Yeah. But I think for context too, like I wasn't very honest about like what I wanted from that. So I think she interpreted what would happen differently. Like I think maybe having the thought of like this would become more.
Did you know what your intentions were?
No. I will say like I didn't I was not planning on like I wasn't talking to her to lose my virginity. Like that wasn't like the goal, like, oh, I'm gonna like go on dates with people to do this.
But were you with the intention of possibly finding love?
That's the thing that I find interesting about this whole year is that I had this saying, but I was not open to it. With anyone that I was like interacting this year, I was just not I just couldn't. Like I just and it wasn't like a thing of like wanting to play the field or whatever. Like that wasn't my mentality. It was just like I think a bit of fear of opening up that much more, like that little bit more.
Like you entering into like a space of discomfort and you don't like it.
Yeah.
Which you weren't quite expecting at that time.
Yeah.
You in the beginning of the year you thought, hey, if I was to able to like break into a relationship or break into something in a space that you were just in, that there's that possibility of love resonating there.
Yeah.
But once you got there, you just felt uncomfortable.
I mean, a bit of that, and it was very confusing. Like I think even now, like it's hard for me to really like give an answer to it because like I think I just didn't know like what I actually wanted, and what I wanted would change. Like it would be like maybe one day, yeah, I would like to date somebody, but then I just would act differently.
What drives that? What influences that? Is that being influenced by the girl you're speaking to? Mm-hmm. Or is it being influenced by just like some other events in your life?
I don't know. I know like even that situation too, it was very similar where like she really liked me. Mm-hmm. And I liked her too. Like I liked spending time with her. We had a lot in common, but I just it wasn't something where there was like a
butterflies.
Yeah, or like it wasn't a thing where I was like head over heels, or like I really was like interested in, and maybe part of me thought that that's how it was supposed to be, because I feel like a lot of these things too is like I still at this point have a very like immature view on what
dating can be.
Yeah, and very much so from like my sister. Mm-hmm. So like not really being too open to that, and I think there was also like a bit of like I didn't tell many people about her because it was like embarrassment maybe of like it being from Tinder, and like I don't know, it was just like I didn't really tell anybody about this besides like I actually told my parents like not too long after. Only because I was in this mentality of like I knew I wanted to tell my dad, but I didn't want to tell my dad and not tell my mom, because if my mom found out that I didn't tell her, then it would be like
she'd get jealous.
Yeah. So I just told them both at the same exact time.
Okay.
Just to
how did you tell them?
We were just driving home from a restaurant, and I'm like, hey guys.
Just burst.
Yeah, no, I swear to God, I was like, hey guys, I have something to say. And I don't really talk much. Like when we're driving home, I'm just like on my phone. It was like very quiet when I spoke up. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I lost my virginity. And then like I think my dad started laughing as he like didn't believe it. And then because like I was hanging out with this girl, but not telling them that I was hanging out with this girl. It was like very like because I was like
secretive.
Yeah, because I was like I didn't want like the judgment of like, you know.
You didn't want the questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's like a big thing for me too. Like not wanting to share things because I don't like being asked about it.
I was 100% the same way. If my mom's listening, like she knows if I was to go out and she was to ask questions, I would brush it to the side. Yeah. I wouldn't want to answer anything.
Yeah. And I guess like our interaction lasted for a couple months at the start of the year, not very long, maybe like 2 months. And then I just like ghosted her. Really for no reason. Mostly just from seeing how much she liked me and not being willing to open to that. And just not wanting to hurt her, but in a way you still hurt people by ghosting them anyway. So it's like,
yeah, that might be a topic to dig into at some point.
I think it definitely will be. And I think now this is getting where like you are getting informed about this, because like months later, I start interacting with her again.
And I ran into her.
You actually met her.
Yep.
And
that was a night. That was a night.
But
we don't have to get into it.
No. Because there's other stuff that's going on there.
Exactly.
But I after that night too, like I ended up apologizing to her, and there's a bit of like resolution, just like, but I still think like even apologizing.
Did you apologize over email?
No. I did it like we reconnected. I reconnected with her over email. But I apologized like in person, okay. Like over text, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. I don't want
to. Is that the first time you ghosted someone?
The first time that I ghosted someone that like significantly.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I was talking about like with Habanero, where there was people that I would talk to and then like not be interested. There's probably someone that I spoke to that they would say that I ghosted them. I just don't remember. And I'm sure like there's a lot of people that you've spoken to that you've just never spoken to again. And it's just like it's not significant to you, but maybe to them they're like, this guy ghosted me. And that happens. Which I think we should definitely talk about on like a separate episode. Just on that topic. But yeah, I mean my interaction with her, it kind of ends like at that point. Like there's like more things that maybe happen, but I just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, of course.
But this is still relevant to college, so like really nothing else happens college wise for that. I will say I get my comeuppance after this. And I forget what I named this thing. I named it self-destruction.
Yep.
The last phase for me is self-destruction.
What inspired that?
There was a song that I used to listen to, and my sister will remember it, where there's like a line that's like something I'm hell-bent on self-destruction. And we used to joke about it because like she would say like that's me, because like I was like actively putting myself into situations to get hurt, which is true. If like you look at some of the stuff we've spoken about, my sister knows me very well. But the start of that year, I was joking around about getting my heart broken, which is like stuff that I spoke to my sister about, and it happened. So to Habanero, I think I might have told you about this, like the situation I'm going to talk about. I'm speaking to Habanero right now. No, not Habanero. God. Jalapeno. Jalapeno is the one that I just.
We both get confused.
We're gonna.
All right, jalapeno
for
is
both
the
of
second
them.
woman.
To both of these women, I think I told you both about the situation maybe, but this is like if you hate me for any reason, this will make you happy maybe.
Wait, did you share this with them?
I think no, just with jalapeno.
Jalapeno.
Yeah.
Okay, so jalapeno knows about this. Habanero doesn't.
Yeah. Okay. So this story, we're gonna call this one Carolina. This girl. And something funny is that I named a playlist Carolina that year, and it was like about her. So like I'll add that to the show notes too.
That's just perfect.
It lines up somehow.
That is just perfect.
And it was like the playlist that I made after our interaction. So it was just like I don't know, it wasn't a breakup because we didn't like fully date, but it was just like the music I was listening to, feeling through that situation. So to get into it. I matched with, no, I didn't match with her. I think I saw her on Tinder like back in 2018. And she was just some girl that I had found her Instagram off of Tinder, and I followed her on Instagram. We never actually matched. And I had followed her for a couple months, like just on Instagram, and she followed me back. And we were like liking each other's photos, but we had no mutual connections, like nothing. It's just like I followed her because I thought she was cute. And I don't know why she followed me.
I've never had an experience like that.
Yeah, and I think I've told you, like, there's other girls that I have gone on dates with. It's like similar situation where I just like I find their Instagram and then I DM them on Instagram, and that's how we end up interacting. But I find their Instagram from like Tinder or from like whatever.
Yeah, well, that's something that I never really like bothered with before. But now that you have,
because all these all these people are putting their Instagrams.
Yeah, if they were putting their Instagram, that means I feel like there would just be so many followers. That would just
that's the thing. It depends on who it is, because you'll see some people putting their Instagrams and they'll have like 3,000 followers. So like I wouldn't message someone with 3,000 followers. But this
you could.
You definitely could. But yeah, I DM'd this girl on her birthday in January.
Saying happy birthday.
Yeah. And she responded. And we spoke for a little bit, like in a joking way, and then it kind of just died there. This camera doesn't want to cooperate.
Is it because it's overheated?
Yeah, I think it might be.
Do you want to just continue and just have like a black screen? On
Yeah, I'll just put like the last picture of us.
Okay.
And let it continue.
That sounds fine with me.
So any clips coming from here on out, it's gonna be very funny. It's just gonna be like static.
It could just be audio, man. It could just be audio.
I want to edit a clip with static, like pictures of us with captions.
Okay, do it.
All right. But yeah, this girl, I DM'd her on her birthday. We spoke for a little bit, and then I DM'd her again like a couple weeks after for something completely unrelated, and then that's when we like started talking, and then like we exchanged numbers, and this is like around like late February, March, and we had a very instant connection somehow. I know it's impossible for me to have that.
Sure.
No, I'm just kidding. But we had a very good connection.
You're a funny man. You're a funny guy. People like funny guys.
We had a good connection. I'm standing up, but no one will notice. We had a good connection. And it went from just texting to eventually
hanging out.
Phone calls. Yeah, like phone calls. Emailing like during classes.
You'll see this as a trend across the women that John talks
to.
They'll start emailing.
The ones that are special, they get emails from me. But yeah, we were talking almost every day, way into the night. And then we started hanging out. Very much so in a dating way, but it wasn't like we weren't dating. And it was very strange. The thing that I did want to do with this relationship or this like interaction was like I was very honest about it with my parents and like my sister, because I didn't want to like not talk about it like similarly to the girl that I spoke about before, because I didn't want to hide.
I will say, even though we weren't talking too much about this at this time, perhaps I do think you were like being a little more transparent with me too than you were, a lot more than you were when you were with Jalapeno.
Definitely opening up about like problems or whatever, like when she started, like we'll get to it, but when the thing happens, I was like talking to you about it. But yeah, it was a very strange situation. We went on like dates that, I think you remember this, like we went on dates that would last like hours. Like it would be like we would meet up at like 10 for breakfast, and then I would drop her off at like 12 at night. Yeah, so
I remember those stories. You were telling me like these great stories. I'm like, and
these are like
beautiful dates.
These are like second, third dates. Like they're not like, you know, anything insignificant. But the thing that was odd on my part was like I was communicating a lot of this to my sister, and my sister's like, "Oh, you got to ask her to be your girlfriend." And that was the thing that I think that I first messed up, was taking that advice. Which now my sister has learned. My mom always tells her to not tell me stuff anymore, because my sister gives terrible advice like that, where like I'm hanging out with this girl, and this is only like, let's say like the second, third date, and I ask her to be my girlfriend. But like still like leading up to this, like we were talking every day. Advice. I did.
On which date?
Huh?
Which date?
It was this. It might have been the third date.
And you just straight up asked her, "Hey."
But this is like the lead up to that. Like it was like us having the context of us talking every day, whatever. Which I guess like even at that time, like I didn't really have an understanding. Like to me, that's what a relationship was supposed to be. So I'm like, if we're basically like we're dating, I'll just ask her. But I definitely like it was like jumping the gun, because we spoke a lot, but I didn't really know her as much as you'd like know somebody that you've been like talking to for a long time. So I definitely jumped the gun asking that. And I remember being very like even scared to ask. It didn't feel like I really wanted to ask it, but I had like pressure to ask. And it was very awkward. Like we were like in my car making out, and I just awkwardly like, "Do you want to be my girlfriend? You want to be my girlfriend?"
Is that really how you asked?
Not like that, but it was like a very like
macho
awkward,
man, like
not macho man at all.
I'm very confident. look, man, you're just down on yourself. I'm sure it went well. And then
But
how did she respond?
She didn't respond in a bad way, but I think it took her aback a bit. She wasn't like expecting to hear that. And she was nice about it. Like we kept talking and we hung out after that. So like it wasn't like the end of things, but I think it definitely should have been like a red flag for me. I think there was a lot of red flags with her that I didn't notice until like looking back. Like, for example, that thing, like she wasn't ready to be in a serious relationship, which is something that she communicated. Mm-hmm. But like when you're in those moments, like you think, oh, it's fine. Like I'll just keep talking to you. But like if you're ready for a relationship and someone that you're talking to doesn't want to be in a relationship, like you continuing to interact is like not really going to lead in any good way, if you know what I mean. Because it's like if you're both looking for different things, like the end goal, I guess.
Yeah, I guess if those intentions are clear.
Yeah.
If it's clear that she's not looking for any commitment, or if it's just a temporary thing.
Yeah, and I think what was like kind of complicated is that it's like she did say that, but like she would do things that were very like relationship like with like calling me or whatever, and she had given me gifts. There was a day that we went on a date where like she told me that she had something to give to me, and then it was like this little photo with like a cute message on it, and I think she gave me some other stuff. But yeah, it was like weird things like that would like make you think differently. But I mean, another red flag that like I remember now, like looking back, that I completely ignored, was that we were on a date once, and we were at the movies, and I don't know where she was, but she had left her phone, and like she was getting a ton of messages, like a lot. And I look over and I see somebody's name with a heart, and it's a guy's name. That name is the guy that she ended up with after ghosting me. So now you know, if you're listening, I got like ghosted. But I remember seeing that, and I don't know why. Like thinking that now, I'm like, I don't know why. I mean, obviously, it's like you don't want to like attack somebody.
How did
you
feel?
It just felt like, I don't remember. It's like I remember seeing that, I just chose to ignore it. Like I was just so interested in her. I think this was actually going on in the day that we were hanging out for hours. Like we had done all these things and then went to the movies like late at night.
Well, I think I would take it the same way though.
Like just choose to
not let it take a toll on me.
Yeah.
Not because like there's no significance there. There may or may not be significance there, but it's not our place to know at this point.
Yeah, and so, I guess like I don't know if I really thought of it that way though, but like yeah, like I will say like like even to bring that up though, like I wouldn't have brought that up because like I wasn't like actively trying to like look through her phone. It was just something that I noticed, and like it's something that I shouldn't have even seen. So like I'm not gonna make a thing out of it.
Yeah, and to add is like there's no commitments on either side at this point, and so maybe the thing you could have been doing differently at this time is still not giving her really your commitment, because
and I think that's like what I was doing.
Yeah, exactly. So usually she was still playing the field. She was still keeping her options open, and this one other option ended up being where she went down the path with. But you could have been that too. It would just be a possibility. Yeah. Just like you could have been looking at your different options at this time.
Which I guess like it was just it was weird for me like at that time, because we were doing things that felt like it was a relationship. So like I wasn't open to letting anyone else in, because I'm like I felt like I was gonna be dating her.
Like there was a commitment here.
Yeah, which is like not.
It just was never communicated.
It just wasn't. Yeah, it just wasn't a great thing on either side. But definitely like more on me, just getting like a bit carried away and a bit like I was very infatuated. I was just I got like swept away, and not really like thinking realistically. Like we've only gone on like a handful of dates. Like where she has communicated not being ready for a committed relationship, so she could be talking to other people. It's just something I wasn't really like thinking about.
Which I guess is the problem there.
Yeah, and that's also like, this is one of the first girls that I was like I really wanted to date. Like I really was like opening up in a way where I hadn't before. Like to telling her things that I wouldn't normally tell someone, and like opening up more than, let's say, the people I spoke about before, where I couldn't, like I felt like I could. So I guess even that knowing that was something that was hard for me to like open up in that way was something that further like this must be something special then.
Well, it seems like this whole stage in your life you were trying to be a little bit more transparent.
Yeah. Which is what was such a hard thing, because before that I was not transparent at all, and I definitely hurt people's feelings. And now when I'm finally being transparent, I get ghosted. But it's also like I don't like to say that, you know, you deserve the bad things that happen in your life, but I did need to experience that, like that situation, to maybe get a better view on what actual dating is like. Like, don't fully like put all of your commitment into one thing.
Yeah, that's definitely very important.
Yeah.
And also, don't ghost people as much.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that we should dive into. Like, even just touching upon that was the first time that I got really like ghosted in that way, with someone that I had talked, like I said, like we were talking every single day. So imagine someone that you talk to like that, like emailing, like late night phone calls, and I don't know where it slowly starts to stop, and then it just cut off completely out of nowhere. And you just don't know
what to do, what
like
to say.
yeah, like you don't, like I think that's the thing that bothered me so much, was like not knowing why. Like I feel like in my head I was like, if she had just told me like I went back to my ex, or I like someone else, like it would have hurt, but maybe it would have been better
having that closure,
because then your mind is just like wandering.
At this point, did it like hit you about the experiences that, or what you've done to Jalapeno?
No, it wasn't until like I think after getting over this, where then I realized like, oh, maybe I kind of deserved that for stuff that I did to other people.
Or rather, it gave you a little bit more perspective of like
gave me
what it would have been like in Jalapeno's shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was very much the same thing, but flipped.
Yeah.
The thing that was tough is that like she continued talking to me in like sporadic ways. Like I was trying, like there was a point where she had like cut things off or just stopped like answering. And I was like, all right, I'm not gonna continue messaging or whatever. But then she would respond to like stories that I put on like Instagram.
Interesting.
She would like she did that a lot, like just responding to my story on Instagram. I'm like, why are you? It's like, let's say someone that you were talking to very often, they haven't spoken to you for a week now, and then they respond to your story on Instagram. I'm like, what? Like, what is wrong with you?
You guys started as fans of each other on
That's
Instagram,
true.
and you guys
she stayed a fan.
Yeah. She was not going to let the relationship or a conflict of interest like interfere with being fans on Instagram.
That's true, I guess. But yeah, that it was like
she has integrity up until she ghosted you. But
good for Carolina. She sticks to her guns.
I guess so.
There's a movie that I think I'll always tie my experiences to movies or shows, but there's a movie called 500 Days of Summer. I don't know if you ever watched it.
I haven't.
I've watched it before this interaction with this person, but watching it again gave me a better perspective on like relationships, because the way the movie plays out is like there's this guy who's a hopeless romantic, and he's interested in a girl who is not interested in dating. Like she will go on dates with him and like hang out with him and have sex with him, but she doesn't want anything committed. She doesn't want to be tied down to anything, and she fully communicates this. But this guy is just so
persistent,
so locked into his viewpoint of someone being the one and like falling in love, that he ignores like every red flag. And just like he becomes a very shitty person because he's only thinking about like himself, which I think a lot about. Like, not that I do too often, but it's very easy to like be angry at somebody when you're just viewing it like from your own perspective. But like even like in this situation I just told, like if I viewed it from her perspective, there were some things that like she did wrong, but like there were other things that she isn't really in fault for. Like she did try to communicate. It could have even had been hard for her if she saw like she didn't want to like hurt me or anything by saying that she didn't want to date like flat out. So it's always complicated. But that situation.
Honestly, I mean, you see it all the time that some people just struggle with that a lot more, to be straightforward or honest. And like, it's hard to fault them because like you are looking out at the end of the day for that person's emotions.
Yeah. And I guess to like summarize it all, like after that situation, where I guess you could say where I'm at or like where I went from there, because it's very recent. Mm-hmm. But like something I've been actively trying to do, which I'm glad that I was able to get over it and like in a good way, like not become like a shitty person, because some people like they go through bad experiences and then they just become even worse. But I've been actively trying to be like even more transparent about things. Like I think especially with jalapeno, the thing that I regret a lot is like just not being honest about what I wanted. So something I've been holding to myself this year in particular, which I'm happy to say that I've done a good job at, is like just tell people what my actual intentions are. And like, let's say if it's someone that I want to date, I obviously won't say that like off the cuff, but like I'll make it clear that like I'm not just like, looking to hook up or whatever. Or like if it's someone that I just want to hook up with, I'll make that like clear. Like I'm not just trying to I'm not looking for anything more beyond that.
Yeah, do you see that often, like depending on the woman that you're speaking to and how you find yourself like actually interested, that your intentions will differ?
I think like with dating apps, it's harder to find myself like wanting to like date. I don't know. I feel like I'm using dating apps because I want to have a girlfriend. Mm-hmm. But sometimes there's just people where like you can tell they're not like
the person you really want to be with.
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is.
Fucked up as it sounds.
Yeah, well, you'll match with somebody and like maybe you just doesn't seem like you have anything in common to date. I don't know. I mean, even just talking to people.
I think that's fine. Yeah. I mean, there are going to be women that you're not compatible with.
Yeah, but you can just
be casual with.
Yeah.
Be casual with. Yeah. And so I think that's totally fine. And I think it's good to have that awareness where there's going to be some matches you have on Tinder where you're thinking, okay, this could be something that would be fun and casual. And let's see with my clear intentions if I make that clear, if it can go down that path. Yeah. And then other women that you think, I really like this person, so I want to take these steps and be careful about it because I don't want to risk the opportunity.
Yeah. And I think just to conclude, something that I found myself doing like throughout these years of college, which I want to convey to other people that are listening, maybe like if you put yourself in those shoes, like being a hopeless romantic is fine. But viewing yourself as like the nice guy, like Jim, like viewing yourself as that, trying to embody that, you end up just becoming an asshole. Like most of the time. Only because like you're not viewing the things that you do as wrong. You're creating a narrative around your life where it's like people that I'm interested in, it's like it becomes like a story. Like other people are wrong. If she doesn't like me, there's other circumstances that are why. Like it's not because of me. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I always come back to completely end this is a quote from The Social Network, our favorite movie, where at the end of the movie, or no, it's at the start of the movie actually. Mark Zuckerberg is getting broke up with, and the girl says like you're gonna go through your life thinking that people don't like you because you're like a nerd computer guy, but it's not. It's because you're an asshole. And like Mark couldn't see that. Like he couldn't see that he just was an asshole. He would always, if things didn't go right, it was other things, but he couldn't view like what he was doing was wrong. So if you think you're a nice guy, just think a little harder. For a moment. Think a little harder. Like if you've had a relationship where it didn't go right, but you view yourself solely as like the good person, look at it again. And yeah, that's where I want to end it.
I love that. That was beautiful, John.
Thank you.
That was a great way to end it.
Yeah.
And on that note too, I think you brought up the social network.
The Social Network.
We might want to do an episode on that.
We definitely should, because that's like
there's
such a good movie.
A lot of ways that relates to our lives.
Yeah.
So, and it is a fantastic movie. So I would love to talk about that a little bit more.
The audio listeners, you wouldn't be able to see anyways. Video listeners, you're just looking at a frozen screen, but I'm sweaty.
Oh yeah, no.
I've been wearing a tux.
It is hot as balls in this room.
And I have a wedding coming up. I'm getting married, which is what I have to get ready for. That's why I'm wearing the tux. I have like a rehearsal dinner to go to.
Yeah.
Me and Kylie, like next level, you know, like I remember she told me she was like married to somebody or like dating somebody. Apparently he just wasn't significant enough to her.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Like just so much to the point where she was able to drop everything and marry me. So I'm getting married. Fans of We Should Talk More, you're invited. Yeah, it'll be an open casket marriage.
Interesting. You know what? I might serve as a marriage counselor.
That'll be great.
As this love guru, professional that I am.
I'm gonna be excited to edit this episode. That's all I'll say.
Oh shit!
What do you have going on?
I think I'm gonna go see Kylie.
All right.
I have to
try to stop her.
No, talk to her about her issues, her love issues. She's been coming to me about it, saying like there's this toxicity going on in her relationships and that she needs some intervention, or perhaps space to speak.
Okay, we could have her on the podcast maybe. But anyways,
yeah,
guys, I'm soaked to the brim with love for my best friend Josh. This podcast has made me a better person, and I hope it'll make you a better person.
It is.
Thanks again for watching. Shouldtalkmore.com is our website. New episodes every Wednesday,
12 p.m. Follow us on Instagram so you can keep up with what's latest.
Yeah.
And find all of the links to our socials on shouldtalkmore.com.
Skate on, guys.
Subscribe or die.
Skate on.
Subscribe or die.
Ride the waves.
And it's fucking hot.